Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing a product courtesy of a company called FenSens. Now, they sent me this license plate frame that is more than just a frame. Now, we've all seen those frames that go around your license plate, but this one has a nice little function to it that we're going to be testing out today. This is a backup parking sensor. Technically, you could put it on the front or the back of your car, but we're going to be putting this one on the back, and we're going to be comparing it to my other wireless parking sensors. Now, this one, unlike the one that I've got currently installed on my vehicle, is 100% wireless. Now, the one I've got was an aftermarket kit, and it's spliced into the wires in my system. Wires had to be routed, things had to be placed, and that's kind of a lot of work. I had to drill into my bumper to place sensors. That's something that a lot of people don't really want to do. FenSens believes they have a solution to that with their completely wireless system. Before we install it, let's just see what's all in the box. So obviously we got the license plate frame right here, and as we talked about already, we got the two sensors on the bottom, a place to put the batteries in. You just unscrew it right here. We got the wireless transmitter up here, the 4 holes that will go over your license plate, and these 4 holes come with larger screws, different types of screws, and they also come with those little brackets that go inside your bumper that hold the screws in place, so if you have to remove them and replace them, they come with them, so that's nice. Let's see, we've got batteries. It comes with the batteries to put them in. That's always good. We've got the button we were talking about where you tap this and it should automatically open up the application on your phone once you download it from the App Store or the Play Store. That will connect to the license plate frame here to start monitoring the sensors. We got some tools to help you screw everything in. And down here we've got some magnetic stuff. This should help you place your phone wherever you want. So it comes with something to mount your phone. Like some people mount their phone where the air comes out on their vents, and I think this is what this is for. But we shouldn't need this in particular, but it is nice that it comes with something like that just to help you out. Really quick, before we put it on the car, I'm just putting the batteries in ahead of time to make this a little easier. And I just want to point out that there is this black gasket that goes around the entire enclosure of where the batteries sit. And the gasket can come out. Just make sure that gasket is sitting in place properly when you put the cover back on, because that's going to prevent water and moisture from getting in where the batteries are. So it's very important that you have that seated properly. Make sure that doesn't fall out. I'm out here by my car and I've just unscrewed the license plate. And it comes with a bunch of different types of screws depending on the kind of screws your cars use. So we got a variety of sizes and shapes. For me, I believe it's this one, but you'll notice they have a security head, so you need the special tool that comes with this in order to remove it. And that's a good thing, because that's going to help prevent would-be thieves from just being able to use any old flathead or Phillips to steal the device. Now, taking out the old screws and then putting this over where the holes would be on your license plate and putting in the new screws is literally like 5 minutes at the most. And it's pretty easy. You just match up the kind of screws you had before. The ones that come with it are obviously longer to fit through this extruded hole that you'll have to go through on this license plate frame. But now that we got it on the car, we could go to the front in the driver's spot and see how well the connection is, because this is Bluetooth. So depending on your phone and the type of Bluetooth version you have kind of dictates how well the signal might be. This is the button that you would tap to open up the application. And what I want to do is open it up here for you, because at some point you will need to replace the battery in here as well. You can see it's just a little button soldered onto a connection on the back, and we've got the circular type of battery in here. And it just all snaps together, and you would line it up with the holes in the circuit board and the slots on the button. After you install the license plate frame, you're going to need to download the application onto your phone from either the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store. Now, we're downloading it from the Google Play Store because we're running Android on my ZTE Axon 7. And once you have it installed, you'll need to go through a startup process which will help you calibrate the device when you're initially installing it. Things like the gap between where the license plate frame is and how thick your bumper is, and pairing the device, because everything is connected via Bluetooth. But what's important to remember is that in addition to connecting it to your phone via Bluetooth, you have to go into the FenSens app and then connect it and pair it there as well. You'll need to do this for the license plate frame and the button. Now, FenSens does release updates in the firmware for the button as well as the license plate frame. Make sure that you do that first. Now, the button comes with this little ring thing that allows you to place it somewhere on your steering wheel. And I accidentally just pressed the button right here, but if we go back and we're just on the home page of our phone, we can press the button and it opens up the app. Now, in our case, the button battery is almost dead, so it will need to be replaced. It's currently at 1% battery, so it's not working all the time, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it just needs to be replaced and it'll be a bit more reliable. So once we click the button, and like I said right there, since the battery is almost dead, sometimes it doesn't work the first time around, but it does open up the app. And once the app is open, we can then go to, after everything is configured, the screen where it shows the sensors. Now, you can get to this app regardless of the button or not, because when you start up your phone, the app is going to load up along with all the other starting up apps that you've got. And it'll be in the background, and you should be able to just swipe down on the menu on Android and press it, and you can do it that way if for whatever reason the button's not working, and you can get it to it like that. So the next thing we want to test is just how responsive is this device. Being a wireless system, there is a latency between the time in which it'll sense something and send it to your app, and then for the app to report it. So we're going to have a friend of mine walk from the right side of the license plate frame over to the left while we look at the sensor here and see just how reactive it is. So we're gonna start filming the sensor. All right, Sam. All right, do it again, but faster now. Brisk walk. And one more time, real fast. Now comes time for the conclusion to the review. Overall, the device does work relatively well, albeit there is a number of bugs that I believe needs to be ironed out in the future, which is something I suspect can be dealt with either in firmware updates or by keeping your batteries properly charged. So let's talk about this. Backing up, it definitely is adequate with detecting things directly behind you, and in fact, the angle of the beam that it sends out to detect stuff behind you is actually pretty wide,
which is good because there's only 2 sensors as opposed to a traditional 4 sensor system that you would have integrated into your bumper if it was a wired setup. Now, the cost for the device is significantly more expensive than a retrofit that is all wired, but what you have to understand is that cost comes into the fact that you are paying for convenience, and that convenience consists of not just the hardware, but additional hardware comparatively to a wired system, because you got to pay for Bluetooth transmitters, you got to pay for software and app development, continued app and firmware development and support. So there's more to do with this product than a traditional wired system. Now, comparing with the wired system once again, we have to talk about that reaction time. As you saw in the video, when we had my friend move from the left to the right, it wasn't very quick to respond. There is a latency when it comes to how quickly it detects something moving, back and forth between you. Now, this could be important if you're in a parking lot and a small child is running around and they happen to be right behind you. So once again, you shouldn't rely inherently completely on any sort of backup sensor or camera. You really should always remember to check your surroundings. This is an augmentation to something, not a replacement for your attention. So keep that in mind. It isn't the fastest at responding, but that's just due to the nature of the product. Next, we have to talk about the application, because here's where things get a little sketchy. We only tested using the Android side of things, not the iOS side of things. Now, one of the problems we have is the button. Now, the button, as I've said before, is, well, it has a problem where the battery is really, really low. The button needs to have its battery replaced, and I suspect that's where most of its problems come from, because we pressed it a few times and it doesn't always open the application. That's a little annoying, but I think it can be rectified with a new battery, honestly. Now, there are updates to the firmware that needed to be done, and once again, you need the battery at a full charge to really make sure the update works properly. Now, the application itself, here's one of the problems we have, is if the application freezes or glitches out and you have to restart the app, what we found is that if you tried to reopen the app on your phone, it would not reopen. It would get stuck on a black screen and it would not be useful in the slightest at that point. We had to completely restart the phone and reload the app again. Even if we force closed the app and tried to open it up again, it would not open up again. So that's something that I believe can be fixed on the application development side of things. It's something FenSens should really look into. Are they going to get to it? I can't guarantee that, but it's something I think can definitely be fixed. Now, all in all, the system works well for what it is if you have reasonable expectations. As far as the hardware goes, the hardware definitely works. The software definitely works, but the software needs to be updated. That crashing issue needs to be addressed. Overall, would I recommend the product? I'm kind of on the fence about that. If you absolutely refuse to do any physical modification to your vehicle but desperately want backup sensors, I think it's something to seriously consider. But at this price point, you might want to just consider paying a professional to install physical sensors that are all hardware based on your vehicle. You might be able to find someone who's willing to do that for you. But if you want to do it yourself, I think the product is a good all-around product, but you ultimately end up continuing to pay for the product well after you have everything in the form of batteries. Everything's a wireless system, and I don't think the license plate ever really, or the frame ever really turns off. It has to stay on to detect that it's connecting to your phone. So the batteries in here take 2 AA's. They will need to be replaced every few months. The battery in the button is that circular lithium battery. That's going to need to be replaced every few months. And, with software headaches, that needs to be rectified as well. So take that for what it's worth. This really is one of those things where it's going to come down to you. Do you think it's worth it after you think you've seen everything? Because usually I'm not on the fence about things. I'm not like in the middle. I can see the niche market where this would come in handy, even if I'm not purposely that niche market. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Check out my other videos. I've got plenty of them. And as always, I'll see you next time. Drive safe.